All right, today we're diving deep into one of the most genuinely chilling figures in the entire grand architecture, the Sapphire Jester. You might also know him as the Redeemed Judge. He's this fascinating being who somehow embodies both nihilistic mockery and, at the same time, absolute final judgment. And he does it all within a system that's literally designed to dismantle the very idea of you having a self. So let's just jump right in with the Jester's own words, because honestly, this one quote, it's the key to everything. You still fear being nothing. That is your last superstition. That's not meant to be a comfort, it's a challenge. He's framing the most basic human fear, the fear of non-existence, as just a silly superstition you need to get over. Okay, so to really get a grip on this guy, you've got to start with the massive contradiction that's right at his core. I mean, it's right there in his two titles. So you've got this split personality, right? On one side, he's this Sapphire Jester. And as the Jester, his whole deal is convincing you that all of existence is just one big, grotesque joke. But then you flip the coin, and you get the Redeemed Judge. And this guy, he's definitely not laughing. He's the one who delivers the final, inescapable sentence: total oblivion. It's that combination of mockery and absolute doom that makes him so effective. And get this, his whole physical vibe, it just screams cold final judgment. And this isn't just some flowery language. Think about it. A laugh like stone learning to grind, robes that literally absorb the very idea of light. This tells you everything. He's the complete opposite of life, of warmth, of individuality. He's basically a walking, talking black hole for the self. So you have to be asking, how does a being like this even happen? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go back to the beginning. We need to look at what he was before he became the Jester. He started out as what's known as a striver. Now, in this world, a striver is basically someone whose consciousness is a curse. That little spark of reason, that memory of love that we think is so important. For a striver, it's not a gift. It's just agonizing. It's a constant source of friction against a universe that's designed to be a trap. And yeah, there's a name for that suffering: the terror of being. Can you imagine that? The unbearable weight of just being you in a cosmos that thinks you're a mistake, an error. That deep, desperate need to escape this terror. That's the engine driving everything that happens to him next. So you have to understand, in the whole ideology of the grand architecture, being a unique individual isn't a good thing. It's a flaw, a bug in the system. And because it's seen as the source of all your suffering, the ultimate goal isn't self-discovery. Nope, it's self-destruction. The only way out is to escape yourself entirely. All of that, it sets the stage for his incredible journey. And let me be clear, this is no journey of self-discovery. This is a journey of self-destruction. A step-by-step guide to taking yourself apart, piece by piece. And here's where it gets really clever. His story is basically the hero's journey flipped completely on its head. You know the drill. Hero goes on an adventure, gets wise, comes back with a gift for the world. Well, the Jester, he goes on a journey, dismantles his soul, achieves absolute nothingness, and comes back with a verdict of annihilation for everyone else. It's brilliant, in a really terrifying way. In his path, this inverted journey, it has these very clear stages. It's like a roadmap for how to unmake a person. The call to the void, mentors of annihilation, each one is a step further away from being an individual and one step closer to just being a cog in the machine. So instead of fighting monsters, he gets guides. But these aren't your wise old mentors. You've got the Pale Redeemer, who mentors him through forced conversion. Then there are allies, like the Whispering Seraph, who's all about spiritual sabotage, whispering lies to kill any lingering sense of morality. Each one is a specialist on his deconstruction. And the end of this journey, it's not some grand rebirth. It is total, complete annihilation of the self. He's not reborn as a new man. He's just recreated, a mindless duplicate, a uniform building block, a perfect, will-less tool for the architect's palace. So once he's become this thing, what does he do? He preaches, which brings us to the gospel of the belly. This is the philosophy he uses to sell his own destruction to others, to make the void sound like an attractive, even logical place to be.
The absolute core of his gospel is this concept called luch. And what is luch? Well, it's basically the spiritual energy inside every living thing, everything that makes you, you. And according to him, it has only one purpose: to be eaten, to be metabolized as fuel for something bigger and more important. And this gospel of the belly breaks down into these 5 core tenets, and man, they are bleak. Existence is a crime. Individuality is a flaw. Life is fuel. Annihilation is correction. And the real kicker? Bondage is enlightenment. It's a belief system that just systematically rips apart any reason you might have for wanting to exist. And this quote, this just says it all, doesn't it? You call this a self, but the stomach calls it fuel. Wow. It takes everything we hold sacred about who we are, our consciousness, our identity, and just reduces it to calories for a cosmic predator. There's this amazing analogy for what he does. Imagine a comedian, right? He's on stage in front of a starving audience, but his act isn't to make them forget their hunger. His act is to convince them that the very fact that they're starving is proof that their true purpose is to be the meal. It's just so twisted. So let's wrap this up. What does this all mean? What is his ultimate purpose? Because he's way more than just a bad guy. He's an archetype. He is the personification of a truly terrifying idea, the idea of surrender. And here's the truly terrifying part. It works. He's successful. He gets people to ask for their own destruction. They literally asked for chains and called them clarity. They asked for erasure and called it peace. He makes the burden of freedom feel so heavy that people actually beg to be enslaved. Think about it like this. The whole process is like a sculptor's masterpiece, but in reverse. You don't start with a block and carve something beautiful and unique. You start with a beautiful, unique person, and you melt them down into a liquid slurry. Then you pour that slurry into a square mold to make one more identical brick for a giant wall. And the jester? He's not just another brick in that wall. No, he's the one they place right at the very top. He's the finished product, the proof of concept. And his final job? To help the mason push the next person into the bucket to be melted down. So, in the end, the story of the Sapphire Jester is so much more than just a dark myth. It leaves us with this really haunting question, one that feels pretty relevant, honestly. It forces you to ask, when the weight of your own freedom becomes too much to bear, what are you willing to pay for peace?